right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most.
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back yet again. The No Laying Up live show presented by our friends at High Noon. Take two. We have absolved the technical difficulties, I believe. Please let us know. If not, Solly here. KVV is here. Hello, Kevin.
Solly, I'm great. No problems at all. No issues whatsoever.
People don't know. Sometimes we do two takes, but when you do it live, you don't get that courtesy.
This is definitely not on me. Not because you hired me. You didn't have to, kill the budget for techs and ops. It's not me. My fault. No.
TC is here. Good evening, TC.
They were asking me, TC, are you projecting your voice? I cannot project my voice anymore. I'm projected. I'm fully projected. We're doing it live.
We were not lying the first time around when we said that. If you're listening on the podcast, you have no idea what happened. We had we had to restart the pod on the live portion of this because it did not work out great. We haven't been in the Kill House in a little while. So listen, we were not
pay the rent.
We are not lying when we said we've been got a great tip that the High Noon Tequila Seltzer is available here in Jacksonville. My guy Michael was sending it in the DMs. We went down, tracked it, found it. We told you guys it was probably going to be good. Now we can confirm it is good. I've got the passion fruit one right here. What do you have there, KVV?
I got the lime. Lime is delicious.
KVV has the lime. TC?
I got the strawberry. You know I had to do it to him.
Strawberry is my it is my favorite one. I love sipping tequila. Now my favorite seltzer has an option for all of the tequila lovers out there. If you missed that, the strawberry, the lime, grapefruit, passion fruit, 100 calories, gluten-free, no added sugar. The tequila seltzers, they hit the shelves on March 1st. They're rolling out countrywide over the next 2 months. They're fully available nationwide by May 1st, just in time for summer. You can look for High Noon on Drizzly at your local convenience or liquor store, or visit highnoonspirits.com to find it near you. Thank you for sticking with us through this technological adventure, both High Noon and everyone that's following along live. So, all right, let's run it back. Golf is upside down. Chad Ramey is leading the Players' Championship after an 8 under par 64. He had gained shots on the field in 2 of his last 14 starts that were so far this season. KV, you learned a fun fact about Chad Ramey today.
Chad Ramey became a dad last week. His wife had a baby, and I believe their son is named Nolan. He shared it. So he was saying that he was very excited but the golf didn't matter now. He could just play free and without thing. But Ron, I believe you have a thought on this.
Well, first of all, we could have obeyed his young son.
Oh my God!
Wow,
the glorious madness is upon us officially.
Shout out to Josh Elliott.
If he's
wherever
listening
you are
in a bunker somewhere, he hasn't been seen in years, so I don't know what's up with Josh Elliott. But
I think he's still getting paid millions of dollars.
Yeah, I would.
The soliloquy was so bad it ended his career, unfortunately.
Well, you said it earlier that Chad Ramey had a baby. Chad Ramey's wife had a baby.
That's
I'm glad we
correct,
could correct that on
you.
the second go around. I think Chad Ramey was probably thrilled to get back to work. As a father of 2 myself,
father of 3, yeah, you feel pretty worn down. You're starting to look pretty cool after.
You know what? I will go to the range.
Yeah. Hey, honey, I just need to clear my head. I'm gonna go bang balls for like 8 hours.
You know what? What's going on in my inbox?
TC did say it's like, guys, I'm gonna need to partition off some time here this summer after we have the baby, and he's like, about 2 weeks, you're gonna be ready to get back. You're gonna be looking for something to do in that time period. So he's consistent on that one. He gained 5.8 shots on the greens alone. How do you guys feel about the sustainability models as it comes to Mr. Ramey?
How many thousands of feet of putts did he make?
3,000 feet of putts, I believe it was. Actually, I can get you the number if you're interested. It was 140 feet, 9 inches of putts.
That seems like a lot.
Divide that by 18. That's almost, what is that? About 8 feet per hole, something like that. That's a lot. That's a lot.
I believe I was goofing around on Data Golf the other day, but I don't quite understand where I'm going. So I still need that tutorial. But like the most, like in the era of Data Golf, the most shots ever gained over a course of a tournament is what? Like, I think it's like 8 over the averaged of the whole time.
The most in a round, I believe. Like Paul Goydos had one that was just insane at the John Deere that one year he shot 60. Was that maybe he shoot 59 that year? I think it was.
He did shoot 59. I believe also when Jim Furyk shot 58, had a bunch. It was like that was 8s or something.
Yes, exactly. So it's not one of the greatest of all rounds of all time putting, but it's up there.
It's like a coal-fired power plant. It's like completely unsustainable.
I was gonna say, where's this going? All right. But good for him. You know, this is what we were talking about. You know, I hope everybody's riding for Chad Ramey. That they ought to, all the people who were complaining that we were trying to cancel out Cinderella stories. I hope that they're out there.
Hope the ratings crush it and the sustainability of professional golf just goes through the roof. You know, I think a win here will give a PGA Tour another 100 years of runway.
My wife is taking Freddie, our son, out tomorrow. I told them that they have to go follow Chad Ramey, Taylor Pendrith. They can't follow any of the stars. They have to put their money where their mouth is and go follow these Cinderella stories, these underdogs.
I swear we're not dumping as hard on Chad Ramey.
I have a few more Chad Ramey facts just because I feel like, you know, this is his first round leader.
Sure.
This is his debut in the tournament. He's one of 32 players making his debut. He is the 11th player to shoot 64 or better in the first round of the Players' Championship since 1983. He's the first to do it since Jason Day in 2016. So that's a pretty, you know, we were talking earlier, we didn't really feel like there was a 64 out there today. It's been a long time since there was a 64 period out there. So, you know, that's pretty amazing. Second lowest opening round by a player making his player's debut ever. 63. Roberto Castro was the best.
I remember
that was sick.
Yeah.
This is his second lowest round ever on the PGA Tour. It matches his low round of the season. He shot 64 in Hawaii, so he's been having some good results at the Sony.
He's certainly been trending. He hasn't broken 70 in 9 rounds.
His 5.8 per round is almost in the top 100 of best strokes gained putting rounds since ShotLink came about in 2004.
I knew it was a thing. I probably ought to, you know, prepped you for that, being our data golf guy. But
real quick, do we have to worry about our data golf subscription? I feel like we have like 7 or 8 people.
I'm not on it.
They might be like Netflix, and they're like, you know, data golf's gonna start cracking down.
I think for the amount of free plugs they get, I think they're probably okay with it. But
he, you know, he's won once previously, won the Pros Punta Championship. I always feel like it's a little bit sort of dismissive when, you know, in the round after the round, they talked to him and they were like, hey, you know, you've won out here before, so you know what it's like to win. But, you know, it's obviously that wasn't a particularly strong field and whatever, which, oh man, like it's still a PGA Tour field.
I love that we could have the conversation we just had and then you can call someone else dismissive.
Listen,
he beat plumbers and firemen down in the Dominican
It's like
Republic.
Back to the Future where you can do things better the second time around and change what you're thinking.
But so I've struggled with this all day. I hate handicapping this tournament. I hate handicapping this golf course. I think it's a tremendous golf course. I think it tests the right things. There's so much shot value out there. The bad shots are punished. The good shots are rewarded. Yet I look at this leaderboard and it doesn't look like the top players in the world, you know. And so TC, can you help explain that at all?
Yeah, I think there's 2. I said it earlier. There's 2 things going on. I think first of all, it's round 1, right? And guys are. There's some heavyweights lurking. You've got Morikawa had a fantastic round today. You know, you got a lot of kind of flies in the ointment there. But also I think it's probably reflective too of the rank and file PGA Tour events. We've been talking a lot about the rank and file PGA Tour players, but the rank and file PGA Tour events may not put an emphasis on the most well-rounded stuff. It's more skewed towards driving distance and, you know, probably some long iron or, you know, some like wedge play as well. And then a hot putter. And it feels like this is much more of a test of well-rounded game. And you're going to get some weird, wacky shit that happens in a smaller sample size. But I think as we get deeper and deeper into this tournament, we'll see that kind of level out and some of the cream rise to the top. No offense to anyone on the board right now, but also it is refreshing that, you know, every few years you get somebody that kind of like shit, like Colt Knost, you know, with back 2015 or 2016, you know, like guys like that like it's truly a level playing field at TPC Sawgrass.
When driving distance is not a prerequisite, golf looks a lot different, even at the highest level. I mean, we see that at the Dell match play, and I don't know where Sawgrass ranks in terms of, you know, where on the scale of driving distance it is. It's just slightly below average. It's not like an enormous outlier on driving distance, I think, but yeah, it ends up with a very confusing leaderboard.
I will say too, we were talking to some players this week, and some of the players who were sort of, you know, in the lower steerage classes of PGA Tour, and one of them
lower steerage
class. One of the things that someone sort of said in a conversation we're having is like, you know, this is a big week for like the top players, but it's a big week too for the lower experience because they're playing for a $25 million purse. Like, dude, that's the biggest purse they're going to play for in their life. Most of those guys aren't in the majors. They're, you know, and their only chance to sort of really, make a big payday. It's like when you and Uncle Buck when he's got to go make his one big payday at the track, like that's, hey, this is our chance. And so they geared up towards this week. So maybe if you haven't been playing well, but it's all of a sudden like, man, this is the moment where I'm going to actually like make my rise through the ranks.
When the guys that are projected to make the cut on the number are projected for $56,728 this week.
I mean,
anyone in the top 40 is making more than 100K this week. Top 5 places pay out more than $1 million. Like there's a shit ton on the line here. It is weird to have the first players actually be. I mean, we've talked a lot about what LIV has done to golf, and we're not going to start the LIV conversation here, but this is the first player since I've followed the tournament where it is not the best field in golf.
Yeah.
It is not. Like, it is truly not, right? I mean, we're going to see that in the majors this year, but it is the first time, and the designated events have gotten better. Like all of those events their fields have like noticeably gotten better, and the players has come down officially. Like we just don't have all of the top 100 players in the world playing in this tournament right now. It's a little weird.
Yeah, Cam Smith was playing down the street at the yards.
That's right. That's what we heard.
We can talk about all the designated, non-designated stuff on the back end. We'll talk about players, but I do think.
But you feel that a little bit in this tournament, right?
We're like, all right, like what's going to happen next year if we have the designated events are 70 or 80 guys, and then we come to the players, which is supposed to be a bigger deal than those, and it has more players and more rank and file.
It's some Morikawa comments. The Threadman KVV went after it on Twitter. The Taylor, I believe, as some people are calling you as well. But
thank you. That's much better.
If you like the Taylor more, that just means it's going to be the Threadman. It's going to be the nickname.
That's true.
Okay.
Don't call me the Taylor.
So, what do you have to say about Morikawa's 7 under par 65 today?
I walked a little bit, just a couple holes with him, and I knew sort of I had been thinking on a take about him because I sort of had seen him talk about how, look, he was basically getting back to just doing what he does great, which is picking my line. I'm hitting a baby fade. It's going to hold that line until it sort of just curves a little bit right towards pin. And he kind of was looking around last year at JT and seeing like, oh man, I want to be like a complete player. I want to do what Tiger does, and trying to be like Tiger has probably destroyed a lot of guys' swings or has messed them up in a lot of ways. And so he was trying to hit draws. He was trying to sort of be able to work the ball both ways, get to some different pins, like just, maybe not have the struggles in the wind that he had sometimes. And it kind of like messed with his swing DNA a little bit. And so he was very like adamant after he missed the cut at the Arnold Palmer. It was like a good thing for him. He went home. It would be interesting to have the cut conversation at some point about this, but he showed up at Sawgrass on Sunday and was like, I'm going to the back of the range, like where I can be all alone. And I am just going to beat balls for like 2 hours. And he said he hit like 5 or 6 bags, came back again, did it the next day. And he was just like trying to re-groove in, like, I am going to hit a fade. I do not care where the pin is. I do not care what the start line, what the hole calls for. I'm going to hit the shot that I trust, probably with some exceptions, but for the most part. And all of a sudden he was like, man, I feel like it's 2019 again. My swing feels like it's back to, and so he's pretty excited about it. We'll see if the elements kind of, mess with that a little bit tomorrow, but he's, I think maybe sometimes you can have like a good putting round that fools yourself into thinking a little bit like it was, it was great. Cause he hit the eagle that he made, somebody I think correctly pointed out in my thread, like it was a little wipey, like it wasn't quite, he didn't nut it like perfectly. He kind of got a good break. But he made a lot of putts too. And all of a sudden like shooting 6, I mean,
he didn't make that many putts. He was +1 on the greens. Like it's not he was number 1 in strokes gained approach by more than a shot.
Yeah.
He was 4.2 today. That's an absurd ball striking round. That's insane. And like I'm amazed looking back at. I feel like we've kind of gone through this arc with Morikawa of he won the 2 majors. He had he won some other big events as well. And it was when he stopped winning them, it was like, dude, what's kind of a little bit of what's wrong with Morikawa? Sure. His numbers are still incredibly consistent in terms of what he does off the tee, what he does approach. I'm just going to go back to 2019 and list off his strokes gained approach in every season. +1.04, +1.04, +1.12, +0.9 last year. He fell by 0.2 shots. And so far this year, +1.09. He's been the same exact iron player. The off the tee game has actually gotten a little bit better. The putting's even gotten a little better. Like it's adding up to so far this year has been his best strokes gained season to date.
It may come down to the eye test.
I don't know what that means, but sure.
I don't know what that means either. But he's already won like 6 majors in my book.
Well, yeah, you of course predict him to win 8, right?
Yeah, almost there.
He wins this, he's
at least
he's there to 3. Although we don't have ice in the cooler,
We did not put ice in the Yeti. This is not a major officially. Also, it kind of smells a little bit funny from the last time we were here, I think. So we did not go steep on that one. But yeah, I mean, his name is obviously popping off the leaderboard. I feel like I've picked him each of the last 2 years here because it should be a freaking perfect golf course for him, and I don't know why it hasn't been. But I think I even said that on the preview pod. I was like, I don't know. He kind of struggles here, and sure enough, that's why I hate trying to predict who's going to play well at this course.
That, though, he was has to, like, I don't know, like on 2 or some of those holes where like you do have to work the ball both ways in certain spots.
He was a little chippy when people were bringing up the results, as he can sometimes get. He's like, yeah, I mean, people are really focusing a lot on results. I don't really, I mean, I only played her twice. Like last year was a weird year. The other year was my first year. So, I kind of like maybe that he's got a little ornery in him,
I wish he was chippier.
I wish he was like, he would let people in a little bit more. He's obviously like super smart guy, but I think I sort of tweeted about this, like his personality is kind of a reflection of his golf game. Like it's just sort of steady, disciplined, efficient, doesn't ever give you anything. I mean, Todd Lewis is interviewing him on the Golf Channel, just after the round, and he started saying, kind of tell me what you're working on. And Morikawa was like, and Todd's like, well, you don't have to give away all your trade secrets. He's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you whatever. It's like, dude, like, what are you going to be like? Oh, yeah, I hit a fade. And then, like, somebody's watching. Oh, I'm going to steal Colin Morikawa's hitting a fade.
No, I think that's probably like he doesn't want them to like hone in on that to become a thing. Like, oh, he's working on this. Oh, that means he's struggling with this. And then he's going to get asked about it again tomorrow. Like, how are you addressing your chipping and blah, blah, blah. I think he's given away so much what he walks you through what he's got going on with putter, what he's got going on with the short game, what he had going on in Kapalua with the chipping action and all that stuff. And it gets to a point where it's like, dude, you go flip on live from and Brandel's breaking down his putting technique and all that stuff. I'm sure he's just like, the more you offer up, the more it's going to get critiqued a little bit and probably doesn't get rewarded.
Remember, I asked Spieth that once. I was like, do you ever feel like you talk too much? He's like, oh, yeah, for sure. He's like, it pretty much opens you up to like all kinds of criticism. He's like, that's going to change. It didn't change. Like,
it's like a choose your own adventure. Like, all right, what do I want to be asked about? Like, you could almost use that to your advantage, though. But yeah, like, I'm putting some of the best, in my life right now, and like your putting strokes or your putting stats are awful, and it's like, so people start asking you about that, and you almost will it into existence, right?
Like you with your driving, the generational driving.
Oh, you guys should see the way
I heard he was talking. TC was talking about it today. He was like, I am just murdering the ball. And I was like, wow.
Rounding out the top 5 right now, we have Taylor Pendrith, T3. Justin Suh is looking at a 28-foot eagle putt on 16, and he is 5 under as well. Ben Griffin is 5 under. Minwoo Lee, Adam Svensson, Christian Bezadenhout, Denny McCarthy, all in the top 6. It does tell you that there's a long, long way to go with this golf tournament. But last year was a weird leaderboard too. I mean, it was a super weird weather year, but it was some very weird results in this tournament last year.
It was pretty benign out there. The wind kind of switched around midday. It was coming out of the northeast, and then it started coming out of the southeast. Kind of cooled off around midday too. But Minwoo Lee had all sorts of shit going on with his leg.
He had a cramp. You hit him with your favorite GIF ever of the soccer player getting what is that shot? What is the spray? It's like a numbing spray.
Yeah.
Cool spray.
Yeah, he needed a little bit of that because he had a cramp going on there. But what else? What jumped off the page for what you guys saw out there in person?
It's again like 64, 65, 66. Those are really good rounds. It seemed like par was not a great score, but like anything under par today was good. So to see those guys, I'll be shocked if those guys can keep up the pace. I think. What do you guys think? Like, I think probably 6 or 7 under is probably leading.
Yeah.
After tomorrow.
I would think so. Probably.
We're supposed to have some thunderstorms in the afternoon. It's supposed to be cloudy in the morning. The showers have kind of fallen off of the forecast for tomorrow morning. So I think we're good there, but and not too gusty until the thunderstorms roll around.
I walked a little with Spieth and JT and the pro Max, and it was fun to sort of see them manage their emotions a little bit. JT was pretty frustrated out there. And as someone who gets frustrated myself,
which is documented on film coming up soon.
You will see. Oh, man.
No!
JT and I, we have some history, but we're very emotionally, apparently we are very similar golfers. He's able to control it better than I am. So, we'll see. But he was obviously very hot under the collar a little bit.
I feel like you get it out though.
Okay.
He just lets it simmer and he just gets that resting bitch face going. I'm going to grab another high noon.
I'll get you one.
What do you want?
I got to say, Scotty Scheffler, played okay. It's hanging around. He's my pick. We we've been asking what would be a nickname for Scotty. A guy who covers sports out in Montana. Shout out to me and Cody. Victor Flores came up with I think a great name. We should call him the Bobber. And everybody who was used to go out fishing when they were a kid, you'd put a little bobber on your things to see if he just rises to the surface. He's smaller than the buoy, but I think the bobber is a sick name. So thank you, Victor, for that.
The problem with that is so many people call Rom the buoy. I think it's going to be confusing for most of the world, really. I mean, at this point, 8 billion people, I think it's just going to be hard to keep that straight.
Pretty wild. Scheffler's currently like 4.5 or 5 to 1 to win.
And he's 4 back after round one.
Yeah.
But I think Ramey's 35 to 1 and Morikawa is like 3 to 1 right now. What would you have to do? What would the odds have to be for you to have wanted to bet on Chad Ramey to win this tournament?
Like right now?
Vision Fund, yeah.
It would have to be at least 150 to 1.
150 to 1.
I swear to God. No, I'm not. I'm not kidding. 150 to 1.
Okay. I mean, he could go on an unbelievable heater. This could be his Craig Perks heater.
All right, you want to hear the last few times he's kind of gone out and gotten it in round one?
Yeah, hit me.
It's not good.
Is he like an Icarito situation?
AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am back in February.
Yeah,
65, 76, 73, 75. Now, granted, that's on different golf courses and whatnot. Sony shot 68, 70. He did play well in Vegas. He shot at the Shriner, 67, 66, and then cooled off on the weekend. But there's just nothing to indicate that.
I teed this up. It's too much fun stuff happened today to be going down the results page of Chad Ramey right now. Let's go. We're gonna hone it back in on some of the golf we saw today.
Chad Ramey wins. He goes from 174th in the FedEx Cup to 20th. You win the Players, and you only
go
get
to
20th.
I believe he'll be maintaining status if that comes about. Rory McIlroy, 4 over par, 76 today. There was a huge. They opened up live from tonight or Golf Central, whatever it was, breaking it down Rory for about 10 minutes here, saying he's overdone it. He's he's fatigued. Is Paul McGinley was saying he is fatigued. Are we buying that at all?
I mean, I think you're allowed to have a sort of an off week, right? I mean, Rory did say he would like to get back to just focusing on golf, and so maybe what he needs is kind of a week off. I don't know. It's going to be. He'd have to probably shoot a pretty good score tomorrow to get to 1 under, or 1 over, which might be the cut line look like. So I don't want to beg on him too hard just because it's not a golf course where he's had like a ton of success. Obviously won here once, but it's not a place where like he's just show up and be like, yeah, I've seen him WD plenty of, not WD, but like trunk slam here several times that I've been covering the tournament when he's done that. So, I don't know. I mean, he's been putting a lot into like 7-hour meetings to sort of talk to the players. We need to sort of rehash that stuff, but he's been working hard, and whether you agree with it or not, like the tour is reflecting a lot of what his vision is. And so, yeah, maybe now he will get a chance to focus on golf, and maybe that starts tomorrow.
He worked hard on the range after the round. He stuck around, and
he stuck around Wednesday. He played 9 holes. We walked a few holes with him yesterday, and he just stood by the green talking for another 30 minutes probably after he finished. And as we're walking off, I was like, dude, how are you doing? Like, how's your energy? He's like, I'm fine. Like I'm fine. I'm fine. But he really was totally like, dude, I'm not. At Waste Management, he looked a little fatigued, right? And it felt like I don't know if the good week at Bay Hill kind of re-energized him or whatnot. But do
you think he
seems ready to take it on?
Trick himself into thinking he's fine?
No, he really did seem. I mean, you can tell when somebody's trying to get away from a conversation, and it wasn't that at all. I mean, he was talking about anything under the sun, and wasn't really necessarily even all the stuff people
I think
worked
tomorrow
up about.
will be a fun round to go watch him, where he's off late. And it's either like I think he's going to be going at pins and trying to shoot 65 tomorrow, right? It's going to be, hey, I need to shoot my way back into this tournament or go out in a blaze of glory. That's a fun round to watch, I think.
A little frustrated with the driver. Made some comments after the round about it.
He did. His comments said, he said, yeah, obviously I went to that new driver in Riviera, and it's not, look, I wish I could use my driver from last year, but I just can't because of use a driver for so long. It starts to get a little too, basically it wouldn't pass the test. So he's basically hit that. That's end quote. Basically,
that's hot.
He's the driver. He's hit it too many times that the face wears a little bit thin and it doesn't pass the COR test. And he then continues. He said the driver heads are so finicky. It's hard to get one exactly the same. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying my best, trying to get something that's as close to what I had last year. Yeah, just struggled a little bit off the tee the last couple of weeks. But if you look at it, I mean, today, I don't know. Again, it's a summary of all of your tee shots, not just your drivers you hit, but he gained shots off the tee today. He was positive a stroke off the tee, which is a lot. It was around the greens and putting. He lost 5.5 shots there, which on this golf course, though, can be a miss in the wrong spot, can really affect your strokes gain around the greens because you can end up on a mogul or in a bunker that's just totally dead. Strokes gain doesn't really evaluate that, so it's hard to say.
Like fun pins out there today too.
There were some really good pins.
Pin on 16 was fun. The pin on 4 was fun.
Front right pin on 4 in the thinnest part of the green led to some really, you had to take on a lot of risk with the approach shots. JT from the middle of the fairway pushed his out to the right. He's in the rough, gets way too much ball, chips it back into the water, has to re-hit from the same spot, almost hold the next one. But that was just like, man, there were so many shots we saw. We watched JT on 9 today. He hits a fairway wood out of the, from the fairway from way back trying to get on the green, but kind of bails it out to the right, pushes to the right. It fades on him. And it's just a golf course, man, where like there's a trade-off for everything. Like you want to bail here, here's what you're going to deal with. You're on the downside of these moguls. These are not mounds around the greens. These are huge moguls that I'm not sure how well that pops on TV, but you're watching one of the best short game guys around the world trying to get one to stay on the green from greenside on a par 5. Couldn't do it, goes in the bunker. Chips the next one. He's totally dead from the left bunker, chipping on a downslope to that pin, goes way past, makes bogey from the middle of the fairway. Like that was TPC Sawgrass in a nutshell.
Yeah, I saw Jason Day try. He was playing really well. Had it 4 under. He was trying to hit like just a basic punch out from the kind of woods on 16. He hit it and just kept running into the water. Like when even punch outs are hard, it's kind of, it shows you what the golf course is.
Max almost punched into the water on 11, and he almost drove it in the water on 9. Like it's just a lot going on with that golf course right now. A lot to talk about here, but again, our friends at Roback are back for another year. This is not in the copy as well. We have long ragged on Troy Merritt for a long time for his fits. I want to thank Roback for the profit. I want to thank Roback because he is fitted out in Roback now. I saw Troy Merritt. I almost didn't recognize him because it wasn't the bad shirts that he usually wears. He's wearing Roback now. That he knows their performance polos that I'm wearing right now, as you can see, fit way better than typical boxy polos. The collar does not lose its shape. 4-way stretch material is soft. Their Q-zips are fantastic. I wore one out there today. A bird shat on it. Listen, that's not Roback's fault, but that happened a little bit, so I'm not wearing it right now.
That's good luck,
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's just something people tell you. Like it's like, oh, it rained on your wedding day. That's good luck. Like, no, it's not.
No. I think in like Italian culture, it's like good luck.
Oh, really? How'd the first live show go tonight? I don't think our luck is really been very good.
How's it going now? It's going great.
Thank you, KBB.
The performance hoodies are some of the most comfortable hoodies we've ever worn. They're soft. They're stretchy. You can use code NLU at roback.com for 20% off your first order. That's 20% off polos, Q-zips, hoodies, and tees with code NLU. Kick off 2023 right with Roback. Roback.com.
I love that we used the ad to shit on a guy.
No, we thanked Roback for getting him in a good fit.
Subjecting us to the stuff that we had to see prior.
That was not in their copy for anyone. That was editorialized comment there. So. What else did you guys see today that was noteworthy? I got a few other things if you'll have me.
Please. I thought the pin on 17, we were talking about pins. I thought the pin on 17 was awesome.
Pin on 17 on the front was really good. It was just seemed like a very fair trade-off. There were some really accessible pins on some of the holes if you execute the shots, and like the pin back right on 8 today was like, dude, good. I at one point the closest ball all day was like 25 feet. I don't know if it ended up finishing that way, but
I love 8.
It's not the best hole out there.
Of course.
It's just so, I don't know. It's so long. It's so hard. I mean, like you got hitting, 240 into that. I mean, where the pin is like tucked behind the bunker. Come on. I don't know.
You need one good, one good meaty par 3. It's not, I don't think it's brilliantly designed. There's not a whole lot to the hole, but I don't know. You got to have one. Well, they got 13 and 17 are both really kind of short par 3s. That's and fair. 3 is kind of a mid. I get the idea behind it. It's not like the most fun hole to watch though, but it's a test you got to pass.
You got to like step up, grab your sack and hit a golf shot. Like, I mean, we saw 2 radically different groups come through, like Zalatoris, Zander, and Kitayama, and none of them even sniffed the green. And then JT, Spieth, and Max come through, and all 3 of them hit it to 30 feet, and like they were great shots.
I think I've finally reached the point where when I see Max in a feature group like this, it doesn't feel like a promotion. It's like, oh yeah, he's one of those dudes. I know he doesn't have the major titles to hang with JT and Spieth, but like how he's been beating them at golf for the better part of a year and a half now, if you will. And it just at no point was I like, oh, this is like let's see if Max has it. See if he can hang with the big boys. Like, no, he is one of those dudes. Now.
JT and Jordan were walking like deep in conversation when I was walking with him, and Max is kind of by himself. And I wanted to be like, I'll walk with you if you want to be your buddy. You need a buddy for, is this could be our Netflix show here?
Like, Max has the sound when he hits like long irons.
Yeah.
It has like a reverberating sound that you watch a couple other groups come through. Like, we can kind of get used to it when we've watched him as much as we have, but like watch a few other groups come through, and then like Max's group comes through. It's like, oh man, like he sends the crowd into the ooh and awe I mean, maybe he's just got more, he's got more people following him now, but
his like low fade is so cool to watch in person. Like, it's such a, people talk about a slingy draw. It's like a slingy fade. It's really beautiful to watch.
And guys, I have to say it. I like what I'm seeing out of Jordan Spieth. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to tweet about it. I don't care what you haters have to say about it. I will tweet about it. I will have my voice heard about this, okay?
He hit some great shots today.
I actually stopped myself though. He birdied 10, 11, and 12. I was like, this is when I would usually send the tweet, and I know it's going to happen. Hits it over 13 green, and I was like, and he hits this pitch off a downslope out of semi-rough, landing on a downslope, getting onto the green, and it's all downhill from there. And I still don't understand how he spun it. Like, it was the kind of golf shot that like I'll think about like tonight and it's kind of golf shot that you get only in person experience, right? Like, if you saw that on TV,
wouldn't look like anything.
I would not have been amazed at a ball kind of checking up a little bit, but I saw how far he was leaning on that front foot and how easy he made it look to spin one and hold it. And it went down to 6.5 feet. He made the putt. And I was like, that was the bogey that he would have made if I'd have tweeted. So I'll fire it off now. Bogeyed 14, bogeyed the next hole. I still got it. I'm still the cooler. Made an awesome birdie though on 16, shot 3 under par, and he looks good.
I think his birdie, that bunker shot he hit on 11, might be the shot of the tournament so far. Like, that was to be able to hit that to 2 feet or whatever it was at a swing that hard,
so far back.
Yeah, and up on that little ledge. Oh my God, go find that if you haven't seen it yet.
When he hit on 9 out of the pine straw was exceptional.
He had 37 yards to the hole on the 11th and hit it to 1 feet 5 inches. Like, it was up over a ridge, down to a hollow, and up another ridge to a back pin that went to a foot and a half.
So if you read my little thread on Twitter, if you're listening to whatever, I was talking about the difference between artists and mechanics and how Morikawa is kind of a mechanic. Like, he can do his best golf is played when he's like sort of doing the same thing over and over. The discipline, the sort of willingness to trust what he's. Spieth is an artist. Like, he's an artist in the same way that like Seve was an artist, and it probably has not a lot in common in any way with Seve in terms of the personality, but man, they both see like this canvas of just like, all right, I can do this like unbelievable, crazy thing. I don't have to sort of play the sort of disciplined, safe shot because that's not how my brain works.
I don't know shit about the golf swing. I don't know how to critique pros golf swings at all. So that's the preface, but I like where Spieth's got it slotted right now.
Okay.
I feel like he works really hard to figure out where the slot is, and I don't feel like he's laboring it, get it in the right spot. I watched him hit a wedge into one today that was just like, oh, dude, that looks exactly like how you're supposed to swing a golf club. And I've not felt that way watching him very frequently over the last couple of years.
I will say, I know this from hearing him. I'm not an expert on the golf swing either, but he was talking about how he was working on those weird changes at the beginning of the year where he felt like his elbow was flying out too much. And so he was trying to get it sort of more collapsed. And now
connected.
Now he feels more comfortable with that. It's honestly, DJ and I were at a Titleist shoot with him prior to Riviera. I think this content will come out eventually, but Titleist did a little thing where they had DJ interview Spieth about how do you hit like a draw, how do you hit a fade or whatever. It was the most amazing.
To be clear, our DJ, not Dustin Johnson. Because there's that epic Dustin Johnson. So the key to hitting a fade is you got to fade it.
But Spieth broke it down like this is how Hogan would hit a draw, and that's kind of how I do, and this is how Tiger does it. And I realized that I'm not that kind of person. I have to sort of just turn through the shot. I couldn't explain it in a great way, but if you are someone who like obsesses about the golf swing, you are going to just absolutely geek out over the way that he talks about it, because it's like listening to freaking Picasso talk about like, this is how I paint, this is what I do.
He speaks the best. His ball striking numbers were not insanely good today, but he just, we're just trying to dick around. The eye test was really good on his ball striking, but his putting numbers were good. He gained over 2 shots on the greens today. Looked way more comfortable. TC, I got to give you credit. You were saying he's got to get off POA, got to get off the West Coast and whatnot. I didn't think he looked good on the Bermuda last week at Bay Hill, but this looks a lot better. And I hope
But he said those were just misreads. It wasn't the stroke last week. It was like, I hit the ball exactly where I was trying to.
They're
Good
putting on a
fucking
cracker.
freedom.
I'm sorry. What is the grass? Is it paspalum here?
It's rye on top of Bermuda.
Okay.
So it's mostly rye on there.
But you can see that like there's been such a hot winter here that the Bermuda is really coming through, especially in the rough areas where they've got it mowed down a little bit. It's like a ball can nestle in the bottom of that Bermuda. And
They did call it today on ESPN Plus. They said it's invisible green.
Invisible.
There.
I actually think it is visible because if you look at the greens now, there's shine in the,
I
in
know,
the different
but,
areas.
but
Yeah.
they were like, yeah, like there's grain there. You can't see it. It's invisible, but there's grain there. And it's like, I don't think it's there. Like it's either there or it's not. And if there's grain, you can see it. And if there's not, you can't.
I will disagree with that because I think when greens get top dressed a little bit or get tined in any way or any kind of green fertilizer that gets laid on them that you can't see the way the grass is laying, I lose my shit on Bermuda. I can't find the grain. You can get near the hole and see where the rough edge of it is. If you don't play on Bermuda grass, you probably have no idea what we're talking about here, but grass tends to lay down in specific ways on Bermuda. And when you can see it, it makes putting super easy, insanely easy. I think when you can tell exactly what the grain is doing, it helps you with tiebreakers on what you think a putt is going to do. And when it's hidden, it is freaky. And that's why you'll see guys when they get really confused on some putts, it might be like at certain times you cannot see the grain.
I just straight up just try not to play golf on Bermuda. That's just kind of my
I love Bermuda now. I've gotten used. I don't like chipping off of it, but I love putting on it.
I got to be honest, guys. I just try to look at the line. I don't think about the grass at all.
You try to bear the line on the speed.
Yeah.
You might want.
Can we run down the leaderboard a bit just to knock off? I feel bad.
Sure.
Taylor Pendrith shot 67. Ben Griffin.
I said these. I said all these.
Ben Griffin's story cannot be told enough. Like it's
Tell it again.
What is it?
Listen, he's out there. He's doing it. I don't quite know exactly what it was. He basically gave up the game and he was like selling insurance. So like
people are saying, Mr. TC, have you heard of this Ben Griffin?
Apparently,
again, it cannot be told enough because I still don't fucking remember.
Sam Burns, how about showing up on the board?
What a story! His story cannot be told in a while.
Justin Suh.
Yeah.
I think they should look at a potential penalty for him overnight here tonight. Let's look at the video.
Whoa.
The Tour's social account.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake, bit of a comedic bit on your part is a backstop against it.
Like,
it's not a penalty.
The fucking field, man.
It's not a penalty. Just to be clear, we're not sending people to go review his shots, other than to
let him
say
try.
it was a scuzzy move.
I like Justin Suh. I think he's a great player, and like he's got a fantastic career ahead of him. But like the guy in your group needs to mark his fucking ball if it's a foot from the hole.
I agree with you.
Playing out of a bunker, it's ridiculous.
It's not just for the people that do not know the rules, though. I'm clarifying.
Respect for the field.
Hold up, let him cook. Let him cook. It is not a rule violation to backstop. It's just coming. That is just.
It's only a rule violation to collude.
Correct.
To have an agreement, unspoken or spoken, so we don't know if it should be a penalty.
Investigate whether or not there was an unspoken agreement, is what you're asking them to do.
Yes, correct.
And get to the bottom of Ben Griffin's story while you're at it.
I'm going to go talk to Ben Griffin. I'm going to be like, people keep telling me that your story can't be told enough. So let's tell it. Let's get into it right now. No, Sam Burns. I want to talk about Sam Burns. Okay. He's been kind of stinky for a while. Not been great this year. And so
Bermuda Burns,
a pretty good little bit of a showing up alive again. I mean, Sam Burns is like, looked like a future star a lot of times earlier in his career. So I'm happy to see him getting back.
He's got a super way out of line strokes gained approach going on. He had a horrible week last week. He lost almost 4.5 shots on approach shots alone. I don't know if that means a ton of water balls or what happened exactly last week. But I mean, if you look at if you want to say what's wrong with Sam Burns, you go to his page. It's like, dude, what happened to your iron play? I'm not really sure. His putting is still incredible. Still driving. He's driving it about as good as he ever has. Just the iron play has fallen off really hard. But yeah, he was trending. He was gaining a lot of shots year over year. And now he's regressed back to about what he was in 2020. So something to keep an eye on. I'm excited to see
Lee, 68. It was a cramp. Confirmed it was a cramp.
I believe so.
Okay. Hopefully you get some physio action. I love when they bring the physio in out there. It's the best.
How great is it that Minwoo Lee and Minjee Lee are both like, maybe if you could be like a top 50 player golfer in the world and might not be the best golfer in your family. Like the fact that they are each like among the best golfers of their gender is like kind of bonkers.
And they both have like the most aesthetically pleasing swings in the world. It's crazy.
Someone was tweeting at me saying, go check out, if you want to see like an artist at work, like go check out Minwoo Lee, like definitely like a shaper of the ball, like someone who can.
Oh, dude, some of the Instagram videos of him flighting a 3-iron or whatnot.
Some wonderful. I think NBC kind of really. We'll do a little Amsterdam here in a very positive way here shortly. But they were really steering into, and the PGA Tour Twitter account, on some disasters that happened out there. Not quite to the level of Surf Pro cleanups that were needed, but
you needed Surf Pro earlier tonight.
Yeah, we needed them. But that first take was like it never even happened. Nick Watney had a 4-putt quad on 17. Apparently, they just drove the bus over him, reversed it back, and drove it over him again as that happened.
Like, why is Nick Watney in the field?
We can talk about that. Let's save that for the back end.
Straight up, man.
He's earned his way in.
Aaron Wise gets to 17T, and he is even par. Is that right? Do I have that right? Maybe he was 1 over par. He hits it in the water on 17, and he makes a bogey. Then he steps up. He was 1 over par when he got to 17. Makes bogey on 17 after hitting the water. Steps up to 18. Hits a tee shot in the water. Re-tees. Hits another one in the water. Re-tees.
Yeah.
Hits another one in the water. Finally blows one right. Gets up there and makes, I believe, a 1-putt 10 to finish his round at 80 after going to the 17th hole at 1 over par.
If you're listening on the pod, I'm doing the Chrissy Teigen face.
It seems like Aaron Wise is a great driver of the ball, great ball striker, and has been a horrible putter. He's addressed the putting with, I believe, the broomstick, and he was 6th in putting today and dead last, obviously, in ball striking after pumping, 4 balls in the water on the last 2 holes.
Is that like -5 strokes gained driving on 1 hole?
I think it only counts as 4. I think, but he was
so that's how it works though. He lost 4 strokes to the field driving on that hole, or 3.8 or whatever.
He lost off the tee. He lost 6 shots, 6.1 shots. So he's hitting 7 off the tee.
4 of them were on that hole at least.
No, he lost 6 on 18.
Oh, just on 18.
On 18, he lost 6.1 shots off the tee.
That's a costly.
When you lie 6 on the tee, I think that's your -6. That should be the easiest explainer of strokes gained possibles.
It's like Peter Uline in the LIV event a few weeks ago.
TC, you're the only one watching that. But another super inverted one was Sahith Theegala as near the bottom of driving on a weekly basis. Yet he putts the lights out. He was 2nd in driving today, 133rd in putting. Killing me. You're killing me, Sahith.
Where did he finish at?
He is T19, 200 par. So he's right there in this.
I've made my prediction that Jason Day is going to win this year. Sahith is going to win this year. I'll completely believe it. Maybe it's like a lower tier event or whatever, but he's totally going to win this year.
Out on a limb on that one.
I'm so overwhelmed.
I think we've all done that exact thing. I'm calling it right here. Sahith's going to win.
I just want it on the record.
Okay.
Dang it. I just joined like a month ago, Solly. I don't have as much freaking stuff on the record as you guys.
There's 31 guys at -2 or better. I don't know how I'm supposed to go down the leaderboard in these conditions.
I think we can move on to
in a group. Your boy Justin Rose is
Team
on
Rose.
The leaderboard, pushing for that Ryder Cup spot.
Team Rose. I feel like the Aussies played well today. Harrison Endicott, Jason Day, Cam Davis played well. Minwoo Lee.
I've decided. You know what? I've decided I'm going to be people say we agree too much on too much stuff. I'm going to ride for Keegan Bradley. I'm going to be the guy at NLU who's pro Keegan Bradley. Fuck all y'all. He did a great interview with Dylan Deshare this week. We talked about the anxiety of being an athlete and some of the shit that he sort of felt like he struggled with after that. I'm pro Keegan.
Even though his best buddy, Brendan Steele, left the tour. I bet he's got even more anxiety now.
That's fine.
Best friend left.
I like Keegan. I'm pro Keegan.
I think this is just performative.
Bring it on. It's not performative.
Cody, can you play the in memory of KVV tribute as we
I will remember
Uncle Phil, DJ Jazzy Jeff throw him out the off
couple
the
other
front
guys.
porch.
We got Denny McCarthy played well. Christian Bezadenhout, Adam Svensson played well. This would seem like a good course for Adam Svensson.
Who could say? Who could say? I think we saved go. I'll let you go down the leaderboard tomorrow night. Siwoo Kim time.
No, he's doing it. Well, why did you just blow right past my guy Ryan Palmer?
Mr. Palmer.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see
right
Mr.
under your
Palmer.
nose.
Hold
You
on.
got to go up to the top.
T19.
I'm not down to T19 yet. I'm still on T6.
Oh, excuse me.
This is the third time we've gone down the board, though.
Nate Lashley playing well. Nobody wants to see that. Victor Hoffman. Cody and I were out on putting green today. Lucas Glover and Zalatoris were practice putting next to each other.
Two great putters.
Zalatoris was doing the tee drill.
Okay.
And just going straight, just looked like a normal putting
It
stroke.
looked really good.
How's that possible?
Guys, are we in the nest? I was stunned by his answer when I asked him about the putting stroke. I thought he would be completely self-aware. He seems like a very self-aware guy. I thought he'd be pretty joking about it. And like, yeah, this is my strategy now. Like, this is what I got. He did not care for the fact that it was being poked fun of his close range putting stroke. The mental demons are definitely there.
But we were basically saying, we're like, yeah, they should put a curtain up.
Yes. Like they do for the horses.
They should put the blue curtain from the Tiger presser.
Yeah, we thought Cantley was going to go build some walls out there.
I went to Home Depot this morning at 9 a.m.
Was Kaylee there?
I was looking for it. I went to the DeWalt's. There's so much Ryobi shit in Home Depot. I think DeWalt's more of a Lowe's thing. I didn't realize Home Depot opens at 6 a.m.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's
for
for
like the
their projects
contractors.
going. Yeah,
Yeah.
the contractors got to be getting on the job.
I bet Cantley was.
People
was in
start
there.
work at 6 a.m. GC. You know that, right?
I started work this morning at about 7:15, and then realized I needed more tools.
Speaking of work starting at 7:15, 144 person field in March. Justin didn't finish 16 holes today. No weather issues, not at all.
Ooh.
If we're going to talk about
It was the most benign day it could have been out there.
incredibly benign. If people wonder why we don't maybe need these fields this big in golf, that is the example today. Like,
And
he
this
couldn't
isn't
finish
even,
the golf.
144 is not even the biggest
Not
field they
even
have.
max. Can we get into little quotes now, or do we have any other players insight from today?
Taylor Montgomery, not shocked to see him playing well.
Another putting round.
How about the buoy? I mean, I feel like we should talk a little bit about him. He's still struggling a little bit with the driver. Like it's, I thought for sure he would sort of be on a, this would be fixed. It was a little blip at Palmer, and then he'd be back. But
It was putting. I mean, he lost 2 strokes on the green today.
Okay.
He was not the best driver, but he hit 9 of 14 fairways, 64th in driving today. It's really, he referred to it afterwards, said he just hit a bunch of lips. No one hits more lips than Ram, as we know, but I have a feeling he'll be rising tomorrow.
like, will you apologize for saying Doug Gim was a horse for course?
I will. Yeah, for sure.
tough.
For sure.
He shot 80.
That's just what the data says. It wasn't an eye
You're
test
a
thing.
slave to the damn data, man.
Listen, I didn't pick him. All I did was tell you that's the dude that jumps off the page. That was to set the example of like, dude, this course is a freaky golf course. Like, I don't know what to tell you that means.
I have some concern.
Nobody was riding for Doug Gim. Do not put this on me.
Doug Gim's dad. I'm riding for Doug Gim's dad. I got some concerning observation.
Okay.
Is Cooch back?
His short game is so good. I think he's like leading the. I was looking it up the other day. It's like it's gaining like almost like a stroke around the greens.
T7 at Sony, and then solo 8th at Genesis. Didn't play well last week.
Cooch is playing some golf.
Playing well this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
It's concerning. I do not need the Cooch back in my life.
Man, it was a pretty sweet day out there. Not too hot. I mean, a little bit warm at times, but it's a freaking awesome golf tournament to go to. We've been saying this well before we got on the PGA Tour payroll. Just it's not like waste management, like overcrowded. It does not come close to feeling like a major. It does not. It is just like a very good fan experience. I've been hard on them in the past with their bathroom situations, been very, very, very poor. They got that addressed. No problem reaching the restrooms today. Refreshed. So much good food out there. So many good local restaurants. Got Homespun today. If you're going to the tournament, I would highly recommend the Sweet Heat at Homespun behind 16 green, behind 17 tee.
ABQs off.
Where was
behind
this
19.
recommendation today when I was eating crummy fajitas in the media center?
I was out there with Hannah. Like I was busy.
Steak
Okay.
was so rare.
It was not great.
It's the most rare flank steak I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways, it's an awesome event.
Sarge and I went in the in the merch tent today. They had a DJ.
It was
a lot
bumping in there.
spinning.
Bumping in there. It was an enormous.
To clarify, not Dustin Johnson.
Or
An actual DJ.
nor our DJ.
Our DJ. That's right. Yeah.
That merch tent was so somebody on a slide can say, "This is how many square feet our merch tent
We
is
were
this year." It was
activating.
enormous. It was so big.
I got some haters in my mentions asking why I'm always on these pods and where DJ and Neil and Randy are. That'll be revealed in good time.
Yeah.
All right. Let's understand that we're aware of it. And
We have a strategy this year. We're we can't all dedicate all of our resources to the golf tournaments that are going on all at once. We might be kind of trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Maybe just be a little patient with it.
if you don't like listening to me, I'm not fucking leaving. I'm fucking leaving. I'm gonna be here.
Guys, how far back is too far back?
Wow, we're already playing how far back.
I will say before I answer that, KVV and I already recorded a deep dive into another major championship year. Read an article in this year. It's over 30 years ago. First line of the article I read in the Eugene Herald or whatever it is. How far back is too far back?
Hell yeah.
Too far back is +3.
Okay. You'd have to shoot if you shot 65 if you were +3. So Rory's out of it. He's done.
Rory's not going to win the tournament.
I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
If Rory shoots 65,
Replay that all you want if he does. I don't know. I'll be thrilled if he
if Rory
does.
shoots 65 tomorrow, that gets him to -3.
Yeah.
You think that's
Which that was usually that's our job to go say, if Rory goes out and you never know.
you're
That's
gonna be sending up the fucking sirens.
Rich Lerner literally was like, yeah, if he shoots 65 tomorrow, he's going to be 3 under. I was like, he just shot 76. Like maybe let's
Why are we talking about Rory? Max McGreevy caught some drive-bys from you earlier, so I just want to say he's -2.
What were the drive-bys?
You were like, yeah, I was out on the range at Phoenix, and I saw
Max
Max McGreevy.
I
didn't even know who he was.
Let me double down on that. I was watching a practice round earlier, and I was like, who's playing with Morikawa? And it was Max McGreevy. Did not know. I would listen. Part of me wants to say somebody that does this for a living, and I would think is relatively good at it. Probably should know like all the people in the field, but like that might be part of the tour's issue. We can talk about that if you guys are ready.
If you ask me to pull like Andrew Novak, Chad Ramey, and I do know a little bit of Max McGreevy, but like I don't know, name another pro.
Matthias Schwab. I don't know who that is.
Well, yeah, he's been on some of my riders.
Oh, sorry.
I mean,
Alex Smalley.
Yeah, Alex
Yeah,
Smalley. Yeah, like I could not tell those three guys apart. I would have nowhere to start.
Their stories can't be told enough. I've heard.
No, Ben Griffin. Do not bring Ben Griffin into this, okay?
Amsterdam, man. It was incredible. We were watching a little bit on the way home. We got back home. I don't remember a commercial break from 5 o'clock on till the finish. Tracer technology on 18 was up from this super high spot where you could really get a picture of where the ball was actually going instead of the low to the ground one. They had a cool new putting technology thing that showed what percent you need to hit the putt. Like I saw, like Jason, they had a putt. It was like I needed to go 136% with like a cool illustration of the aiming line and how it's planning to break. It just goes to show like the issues we had with it last week and all the other weeks are not. I said this last week and I'll double down. Like it's not on Tommy Roy, like the incredible, insane commercial loads that have happened in these golf tournaments. Got some more intel as to why it might be and something we may cover in a future episode, but just wanted to pause to say, like we said last week, I was like, watch the players. It's going to be awesome. They do such a great job with it every year. And man, is it noticeable. I know it's not sustainable. I know you can't do this for every event. I'm just saying, man, was that a super, super noticeable difference.
Yeah. I mean, it turns out that the golf producers, the golf talent, they like covering golf, right? And when Brian Roberts and Aunt Molly and Pete Bavlakwa get in the way and oversell stuff,
and the tour,
and
the tour has got to take more responsibility for the product. This feels like one where the tour takes responsibility for and says this is how it's going to be displayed. And I don't pretend to know all the details of how that relationship works, but dude, all I care about is what it looks like when I flip that TV on, and that was extremely watchable, and I hope it maintains for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
If you want, if you want to grow the PGA Tour, I know Jay doesn't want to grow the game. He wants to grow the PGA Tour. Like, there you go. That's it.
What are you doing for the game?
That's
what
it.
I believe he said. That's what we should be asking. Not growing the game. What are you doing for the game?
This is what is expected for the players. When we talk about other dedicated events, they have to figure it out.
Yeah.
They got to change up what they're
for
doing.
sure.
This 100%.
However, what happened to Every Shot Live?
I believe it. I heard that it went off the air as soon as NBC came on. For the morning wave, you could have Every Shot live on ESPN Plus, PGA Tour Live, whatever you want to call it. So, but I know some people that like to do some, 3-ball gambling and things like that. We're not able to watch this afternoon. So I don't know why that would be.
I got people complaining about ESPN Plus. We might have to dive in and investigate tomorrow morning, TC.
Okay. Just on the quality of the coverage,
Yeah.
or I mean, they've been absolutely mailing it in all season. Like, I don't know.
We'll check it.
Yeah.
Let us attend for a week. We watch enough golf on TV. We'll get you the in-person experience here. Are we ready to get into some quotes that were flying around? Do you have anything? We have a lot more golf to cover.
Any shocking stinkers other than the ones we covered? Harris English 78 did not see that one coming. I'm going up the leaderboard.
He went bogey free over the weekend at Bay Hill and comes out and shoots 78 today. Yep, didn't see that.
Shane
one.
Lowry 77.
What Fitz shot 76 today as well.
Tom Kim +2, 74. Was hoping for
Rookie,
a little better there.
I mean, first year playing though.
JT. I mean, we talked a little bit about JT, but
JT
out of
Justin
it.
Thomas or
+1.
JT Poston?
Oh, I didn't see JT Poston. It's Justin Thomas.
Just throwing this out there, worth noting with JT, -2.5 strokes game putting, and missed a 3-footer, I think, at one point. I mean, it just does not look comfy on the greens and hasn't really all year long.
Jerry Kelly is currently +2.
Oh, okay.
Beating the rib by 2. What a fucked up game, man.
It's so dumb. What a ridiculous golf course. But like, it's also the kind of course where I could see guys going completely backwards after having hot starts. So, all right.
What's the forecast look like this weekend?
That's for you and your app.
You're going to put this on me?
You don't trust any of the apps that I throw at you.
It's going to be 71 and sunny on Saturday with like very little wind, and then 81 and sunny on Sunday with very little wind. So
Saturday's gonna be nice.
I don't think there's gonna be, unless it blows a little bit tomorrow, I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of backing up. Like this is gonna be more of like a -14, -15 year, I think.
I say let the conditions dictate the scoring. I don't think they need to like push it too crazy. I don't think they need to get absurd with it.
I would say ramp the sub airs up.
Sure. I mean, the greens are firm. Like that's not an issue. I think there was one ball I saw on 16, like on the upslope hit. Who hit that? Sam Burns hit that into 16, and they were stunned on the broadcast that it made a ball mark because nothing else had made a ball mark all day long. So, can we get to some Ryan Armour quotes?
Please
Hit me.
All right. We're doing this in reverse order that we did the preview. We hear for you. We hear your complaints on the that the players preview was maybe a little bit heavy on long-term PGA Tour stuff.
One more thing. One guy I saw today, he's right next to Ches on the leaderboard. Shout out to Ches for shooting even par 72. Zander Schauffele. I'm out.
Okay.
I'm completely out.
Totally done.
I don't want to watch you play golf anymore. It doesn't do anything for me. The regrips on the club are starting to get to Sergio levels, I think. And it just seems like he feeds on the same 3 or 4 golf courses every year on tour and doesn't really do a whole lot else. So,
I think the strangest thing that he ever decided was when like he was one of the best putters in the world, and then like he switched his putter right before the US Open at Torrey, a place where he literally should have been like one of the favorites, and was doing like
arm lock.
Yeah, arm lock, because he had decided that like the arm lock shit for other people was so effective he needed to do it like right before a major. That was such a weird decision.
Yeah.
I mean, he just trusts what you are. Like if he had putted normal in that US Open, he'd have probably won it.
I can't quite decide. I do feel like Zander is fun, is interesting, yet we don't, for like every interview he does is actually really interesting and he's fun to listen to, and he says smart things that are not super boring, and yet at the same time it's just hard to like find love for his golf game, or like love, his star power just lacks for, I don't know why.
I like the idea of Zander, but then I go out and like watch him play a few holes of golf. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm good, man.
We were talking about this earlier of it. I wonder how much like people, golf fans in general, I know it's driven for me. It's like your on-course demeanor decides so much of whether or not people will root for you.
It's true.
Like I think people enjoy, like Spieth is polarizing in a way, like the people that think he's a complainer and whatnot do not like him. But for the most part, people are, he's so engaging. He's so like, he wears his emotions out there that you just end up going on a little bit of an emotional journey that like you don't go on when you watch Zander Schauffele play golf.
Nobody better, more like evidence of that than Phil, who like basically was winning people's hearts and minds forever when he was grinning and thumbs up and whatever. Then people said, oh, he's the anti-Tiger. I love that. The people who were drawn to that were freaking drawn to that. If Zander was like that, which obviously you can't fake your personality, but he would probably have a lot more people pulling for him.
There's a big distinction too between JT and Spieth are two guys that sort of wear it on their sleeve, but they wear it in different ways.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think there's a lot more people that don't like JT because of his on-course demeanor.
Sure. I would definitely say so.
Jordan rarely seems angry for sustained moments, whereas JT does.
It seems inward with Jordan too versus outward with JT.
Jordan's beating himself up, whereas JT like wants to strangle the world.
Dave Shedlowski had an article with Golf Digest today, digging in on some great reporting. I believe you, I'm not qualified to say so, but I believe you would say so, KVD.
Yeah, we love to give shout outs to great reporters.
Dug in on asking some rank and file members of the tour what they think of it. This is a refreshing change of pace from just reading James Hahn quotes in this section of it. But
is this the James Hahn segment?
Yeah, this is that. We're going to transfer it over to Ryan Armour here, who I think makes the points better. We've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people over the time period here. That they've rolled out this new plan and kind of getting everyone's reaction. And they had the meeting earlier this week. We talked a lot about it on Tuesday, but have had a lot of conversations a bunch since then. But I think I'm just gonna read some of Armour's quotes. He said, I think what bothers me most about this is that we were all in the same pack meeting in San Diego in January, and there were some serious concerns about going forward with this. We talked about the value of full fields, what it means for hospitality, for fans who want to watch golf all day, what the tour experience is all about. And then they went forward with it. If this was such a great idea, we should have done it 20 years ago when Tiger was winning everything. These guys aren't Tiger Woods. None of them are. The current hierarchy on the tour, what makes this generation of 20 to 30-year-olds so special to benefit the most from this? I think that's better points than James makes, but I think that I have some issues with
you're
this.
not Tiger Woods thing is a pretty really a damning thing. Like, because it's right. None of these guys are, which much as we like Rom and Rory and JT and Jordan, like they ain't even like a tenth of what Tiger is in terms of the
Tiger's
draw
also
in.
in favor of this.
Yeah,
right.
So that also is like, why didn't we do this when Tiger was winning everything? That's a good question. I think in the opposite way that you mean it, but I think it's
did in a certain way with the WGCs.
Yeah, they did.
That was a step in that direction.
And that didn't work out great.
It was poorly executed.
Yeah. That's to say, like, hey man, I think there's, probably something external that's happened in the game that probably drove this. I think it's probably fair to admit that. And the landscape has changed. That, yeah, in the Tiger Woods era, there wasn't competition that changed, that was stealing talent left and right. And again, changed like the way professional golf is probably going to look forever. So I don't think like, I think a decent point in this is the value of full fields, what it means for hospitality and for fans who want to watch golf all day. I think that's a decent point. I now at the same time, I don't know if like your stars teeing off before 8 a.m. is like the best thing for golf as a whole as well. Yeah. And again, they couldn't even finish the golf today. So 144 people we know is too many for this field. Like it's kind of silly to do.
There's also a way to do like less guys with twosomes instead of threesomes and spread it out throughout the day as well.
So he continued, guys who keep their cards, they're good players, but they're not going to have a chance to play the playoffs. They're not getting into any designated events. But they want those players to be mules for you at all the pro-ams, all the charity visits, all the hospital visits and sponsor events. And we're good enough to do that, but we're not good enough to play in designated events like we did this year.
I guess.
All right.
You are. Like, how do you qualify for the playoffs?
By beating people at golf.
Like, you could say the same thing about the 125 through the 175.
100%.
Okay, so from his perspective, I get why this stinks. Okay. From
it's change.
Yeah, it's change. From a fan's perspective, I just have to say, like, there's 500 to 1,000 guys out there who would gladly do that and not have a chance to get in the playoffs just to be a professional golfer. They'd happily do the pro-ams. There's a lot of people who have been doing this and have been doing it a certain way and feels like, hey, man, like, this is the way it should always be. And that's not really how any businesses work. And I'm sorry, like, that some of these guys feel like they're being kind of nudged to the door and, given their gold watch and saying like, we don't really need you. But man, that's like happens in all kind of businesses. It happened in newspapers. I spent 11 years in newspapers, saw generation and generation after, like, people who were seen as like essential to the product 10 years ago kind of nudged out the door. And I'm not really sure like what the answer should be. Like, I just don't think that they should sort of keep the same model just because some guys feel like, well, that's not fair. Like, why would I want to do, man, there's plenty of people willing to take your job. Like, that's how like things work, where it's a meritocracy of like, you either shoot scores or don't. So I just don't, it's hard for me from a like fan's perspective to have sympathy from these guys. For a human perspective, from like a one-on-one, like I wish your career could go on longer. There's other avenues, other tours you could play golf in if you really feel like it's not fair. I don't know. Do I feel like do I come across as cold and heartless when I say this?
Well, I mean, Ryan Armour is somebody he's made almost $10 million in the PGA Tour. I give him a little bit of credit because looking at his career resume, like, I know he's an Ohio State guy, so he's automatically on my shit list because of that. He's 47 years old. He's been playing on the PGA Tour since 2007, off and on. But it seemingly the one making it into the 125, making it to the playoffs is like his big goal each year. I'm assuming, right? Like he finished 128th in 2007, 158th. He's finished anywhere between 49th and 100. You
don't need to tell us this. We know where Ryan Armour finished on the FedEx Cup.
But it's like he's always in that 100 to 120 range.
Sure.
Right. And like, but that's probably, man, you know what? I made it to Memphis. That's a big deal. That's
sure it is.
And it's like, cool. Like, this is all just a sliding scale. It's like, there's still going to be underdogs. There's still going to be favorites and underdogs. It's just a matter of that those underdogs might be at 75 or 80 instead of Ryan. Who's to say that 125 is the right number? What about the guy that finished 140 that had almost as good of a year as 125? It's all fucking relative, man.
Also, Chad Rainey's leading the players.
But
tonight.
also,
isn't that a great example of you can shoot your way into that upper tier if you can just shoot your way?
Yeah.
I again, if we were starting this right now, we wouldn't go straight to defaulting. 125 of these guys should be in the playoffs. It's just that it's changing. That's the part that is uncomfortable for people. And again, in none of these guys' cases do I hear a reason why it's great for the game of golf. I can understand why this would be great for you, Ryan. I can. And all other players that are upset about this. I totally understand. I'm not fully convinced, again, that this new system is going to be bad for you, but I understand why you think that. But man, I need you to make the case for me. Almost all of these end up with, make the case for me why this worse golf should be rewarded as much as you're saying it is. Make the case. Golf is not like other sports. I understand the value of the 10th man on an NBA team. I do. It works in a team aspect. That is the value you provide is easy to understand because of salary
Great
caps.
locker room guy.
Well, just you're the 3-point shooter, or you're the defensive substitution. That is the value you provide. And golf doesn't do that. Everyone's on their own. So it is really freaking hard if you're past 50th in the world or whatever that is to provide value to the game of golf. It's just you out there. So it's not the same as other sports. And I can't wrap my head around why all these people are riding so hard for just mediocre golf to continue to get rewarded the way it is.
Some of our friends, people who were we're probably actually consider friends outside of are the people who are being affected by this.
David Lingworth's one of my great friends.
Yeah.
Our families are really close friends. And I asked him for his input and push back a little bit on it. He's I get it. I do get it, but it does affect my livelihood. And I'm yeah, I just kind of you got to understand where we're sitting here and where the possibility for the greater good of the PGA Tour and it to be a more entertaining product is where it's going.
Ryan Armour's 47 and he probably feels hey, you know what? I want to leave this thing as I found it or better. And so I want to leave it to
for his class of player.
Yeah, for his class of player. But it's also all right, looking at your results, man, you're playing the players this week. You haven't finished in the top 10 in almost 2 years. And you were the first alternate in the event. Maybe
pretty good structure for you.
Maybe you shouldn't be in this event this year. And you've earned your way in the past, and I respect that. But it doesn't really feel like you've earned your way in this year. You're just filling the field out. And I get that the charities and some of these host organizations make charity money based upon a full field pro-am. And that's a big component of this. But you know what else is a big component? The tour being really healthy and being able to stand up all these events and the TV contract being valuable and all that. And then they can net up some of those charities or whatnot versus predicating it upon you know what? The greater Quad Cities YMCA is not going to make as much money next year because it's no, maybe in 10 years, if we don't fix this and we keep the status quo, maybe the Quad Cities YMCA is not making any money.
Right. It's also just I struggle when you get to the level of pampered and out of touch to call yourself a mule for doing things for the charities and for pro-ams and things like that. It's dude, you got to no one recognized you anywhere you go and you got to make $9.2 million for your golf skill. People are probably doing a pretty good job for you. You got to, there's some give in that. Yeah. You got to go play the pro-ams. You get fucking paid for it, dude. You get paid for this stuff. That's part of your job. So it's just throwing a sympathy party on all that. And that's tough. And then he says, say you finished 75th on the points list, just using that as an example. Yes, you had a really good year, but you don't get in any designated events. Why wouldn't you take a LIV contract? You've just been told by the tour that you fought for and were loyal to that we don't want you.
No, you don't. Quit acting like an entitled dipshit. And you probably got to play in 18 to 20 great regular events. And if you're worth your salt, because it's not like you're just racking up 25th place finishes every week. In order to finish 75th on the list, you probably finished top 5 a couple times, and you probably did play your way into a couple of those designated events. And then you have your shot to earn your way to the next level. It's a fucking meritocracy, man.
I'll say this though, too. Why wouldn't you take a LIV contract? Go ahead and take a LIV contract. I'm not gonna.
Brendan Steele just did. He's in your class of player, Ryan. And he's honestly, better than you.
Brendan Steele clearing out a spot for someone who potentially could be, a great player. That's a win for the tour. So, and if you feel like it's a win to go to LIV, go do it.
I would rather them clear out a spot for the next Justin Suh or the next Pearson Cootie or Ludwig or somebody like that. You know what, man? Take a hike. go do it. Like, that's fine.
And that's also not how LIV works. Like, there's 48 spots there. There's no like feeder system into this. Like, and they can toss you aside in a heartbeat. And who knows how long that league is actually going to last. Like, it's just such a lame threat, because basically, I don't know why you wouldn't, if you feel this way, why you wouldn't have already left. Like, if you've stuck it around for this long for the PGA Tour, there's a reason why either they didn't offer you something, or that I don't see the tour going so far backwards for this class of player that now LIV's a great option for me. It was either a great option for you already, or it's not an option.
It's really funny to see these old guys like the 47-year-olds going with the leverage over legacy thing, right? Like, it's pretty rich.
I got a solution. All right. All these guys are upset. They should move to Australia, bring life back into the Australian circuit, and then Netflix can go down there and film like a reality show about it.
Go find out how much value you have. Go break out on your own and find out how much value you
They're gonna
have.
play the Minotaur.
The Minotaur. But aren't the Australians are mad that like their stuff has been sort of devastated? That would be a good way.
Yeah,
to
I'd be mad if I was Australian.
Yeah, for sure. I think they probably deserve to be mad. So like that's what I'm saying.
We're sending our convicts.
We're not sending our best, but we're sending someone. No, Australians don't like it when you make those convict jokes, I gotta say.
That's interesting with Shedlowski, because like
watch your back next week.
He's a Columbus guy. Ryan's a Columbus guy. Little buck tech.
You think Urban Meyer's advising him?
Yeah,
He's
I
in
can
there
see
like,
Jack being in.
yeah.
Harvey, you believe this? Ryan Armour.
Armour said, I am going to catch heat for this, but I was talking with James Hahn. Wouldn't admit that. And we went into detail about how we need to rewrite our mission statement and take out the part about the tour creating playing opportunities for its members. I guess we're not doing that anymore. They just crapped on everything Dean Beeman stood for. Kind of agree with him with this one. I think the tour would be better off without this mandate.
You were saying 600 starts,
650 or something like that.
That's a lot of starts. Like, that's like, I don't know, 5-hole event, like 4 or 5 hole golf tournaments, right? So I kind of see that, but also I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, like, we should get rid of like another 600 starts.
You could trim
Puerto
the
Rico
starts.
Open
You could trim the starts. Again, make the case for us. I can understand why it's great for you. Make the case for me, a golf fan, as to why this is great for the PGA Tour.
But also, like, I could see somebody like this bitching about like the QBE or Grant Thornton shootout going to like a co-ed format. And he's like, see, you're taking more starts off the table for us. It's like, yeah, because nobody gives a shit about this event, man.
Look, Dean Beeman probably did a good job, certainly did a good job, like promoting golf in America. And that was the sort of idea of like professional golf in America when we're splitting off from the teaching parts. That should be what we are promoting, as many playing opportunities for people to make a living. That was kind of happened. And like, again, just because we're splitting into 2 separate tours doesn't mean we're not still providing these playing opportunities for a lot of guys. It's just you're not being provided the playing opportunities necessarily for the biggest things, right? It's like
not all playing opportunities are created equal.
Yeah. If you're a professional poker player, you don't automatically get the right to be at every like big money table, right? You kind of have to win your way up the next level. It's not that different.
I think ignoring the players here for a second, like the stuff that I read on Twitter, which is never the right way to start a sentence, but it's truly like people are just going to find something to complain about. Like, you're going to find the next thing. If the system was totally different, you would have found a different something to complain about. And that I'm still just amazed how much people are missing the obvious thing of like the top players in the world are going to play against each other. Like, yeah, the path to getting there is going to be a little different in how it works, but maybe even more so than ever, it is about the scores you shoot. And like, somebody brought an interesting question today of like, what happens when somebody gets hurt? Like, how do you manage access into the designated events when you fall in the FedEx Cup because you're out for 6 months? Like,
how do medicals work?
That's a fair question, and I don't know if all the details from all of that are figured out yet. But man, it's just like the hurdle you got to clear if you're going to make this point of like these like middle tier guys getting screwed. It's just got to be convince me again why the guys that aren't as good at golf would have this much of a say in how this all goes.
It's not that different. It's just a matter of like, you still have to earn your way. There's just different, like, it's just all relative now, right?
It's changes hard.
And like, I mean, shit, like they're probably gonna, I mean, who knows? Maybe to placate some of these guys, they add even more lower tier events, right? The fall is gonna be wide open for a guy like Ryan Armour to absolutely feed on now. It's like if anything, Ryan Armour should be, you know what? There's less top players in the field. Let's roll, you know?
I think that's, we'll see what happens.
Can I change the subject to something I thought was fun? Cam Smith played around at the yards today, as we were sort of hinted at. Eamon Lynch had this. Dylan DeShare also sort of had it. Eamon had like some quotes from people. Well, I would love it if Cam Smith. I would love to have gone out there and watched that. It would have been such a fun, like, little quirky story. Like, the defending players champ is playing in like a 9-hole or like it's like 13-hole course that we've like had to like our party at before the NIT. What a funny, like, weird kind of thing. I mean, I remember when Danny Willett missed the cut at the Masters, he went and played at the local course in Augusta and was like in front of like 3 groups in front of me. And it was like such a funny thing to think about, like, oh, the defending Masters champ is here. Like,
He's got to just hang around.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows you like Cam's a golf sicko. Like, he apparently can't get into some of the top country clubs. Obviously, this has been floating around, but like Eamon reported, he tried to get into Pablo Creek, where both Jay and Tim Fincham are members, was basically like told, no, it's not going to happen. God, let Cam have a place to play. I'm not so anti-live that I can't like want Cam to get to practice and play in the town where he likes to fish and live.
I wonder what Cam did on the black hole green. There's a like lava rock.
Probably hit the green. I would just assume that he hit the green on that. But rumors were floating that he might show up this weekend. That there's been some stuff floating around. He might show up at the tournament.
God, that would be great if he's just walking around. Oh my God, it would be so fun.
He should parachute in, jet ski lands, like a jet ski on a parachute, and the jet ski lands in the lake on 17. And he's jet skiing.
If I did
Cam's path back to the tour should be he has to take the live money and he has to connect the intercoastal to the 17th green.
You know how much money he would have to buy. Just the amount of property you would have to buy to
$1 trillion.
start the infrastructure project.
I think you could do it.
If I didn't think I would get my media badge taken away for the year, I might like sneak it to Cam and be like, let's just walk around the side of the ropes. Maybe there's someone who doesn't want to be credentialed for the rest of the week.
Will the TV networks cover it if he does show up?
No.
Hmm.
I mean, they would have to. They would have to.
I think so.
I don't think they would.
No, I think they would. They might like cover. They would cover like a news story. They'd be like, "This is a bizarre scene here."
I think Golf Channel might.
Yeah,
but
I just wanted to say some of the golf.
NBC wouldn't on the broadcast. Tour would have their asses. I thought Zinger was going to get electroshocked today when he said Augusta. Like, oh, this is the lead up to Augusta. Like, I could just envision smoke coming out of all
NBC too.
I think there would be like a fist fight in the booth if you said we're not going to cover this. I mean, it would look, journalists, you can push in a certain way of a rights holder stuff, but as someone who worked for a place that was like a major rights holder, there's certain lines in the sand that you would draw and you would be like, this is
not about you.
Yeah, we are absolutely covering it if he shows up in the crowd and is like wandering around. I don't care. Like, Jake could be screaming on the phone at them and they would be like, sorry, like,
it's happening.
We pay a lot of money to broadcast these things. We are covering it like a news event.
This guy's trying to take my lunch money though.
All right, I think that about wraps it for take 2 of the No Laying Up live show, presented as always by our friends at High Noon. Thank you all for bearing with us through technical difficulties. Glad we got it sorted. We'll be back. We'll bring some guests in the rest of the week as well, and we'll be doing live shows after each round. We got the technology licked now. We're totally fine. We'll be out there the rest of the week as well. So if you see us, please say hello. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.